Well, hello. I hope you and your family are safe and well. It really is a privilege to be able to spend devotional time with you each week. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, I am basing our weekly reflections on this book, Streams in the Desert, which is a collection of 366 daily devotional readings. Each week, I'm going to be selecting one reading to reflect upon, and I hope you're finding these daily devotionals in Streams in the Desert as encouraging and enriching as I am. Today, I wanted to share some thoughts with you that emerged from the April 26th reading. So if you have your Streams in the Desert book, feel free to take it out and read along. Light is always costly and comes at the expense of that which produces it. An unlit candle does not shine, for burning must come before the light. And we can be of little use to others without a cost to ourselves. Burning suggests suffering, and we try to avoid pain. We tend to feel we are doing the greatest good in the world when we are strong and fit for active duty, and when our hearts and hands are busy with kind acts of service. Therefore, when we are set aside to suffer, when we are sick, when we are consumed with pain, and when all our activities have been stopped, we feel we are no longer of any use and are accomplishing nothing. Yet, if we will be patient and submissive, it is almost certain we will be a greater blessing to the world around us during our time of suffering and pain than we were when we thought we were doing our greatest work. Then we are burning and shining brightly as a result of the fire. What stood out to me from the reading from April 26th was this concept of fire. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like I am in the fire right now. I read an article earlier this week that used the analogy of a furnace to describe what some of us may be feeling in our homes right now. Fire, furnace, pressure cooker, all of these analogies are akin to what I'm experiencing. I'm struggling to work full-time from home, homeschool my kindergartner, establish a routine, manage a household, maintain contact with family and friends, all the while not trying to think ahead to how much longer is this going to last, just trying to take things day by day. Just yesterday, I felt the heat of the furnace. I was struggling with homeschooling, preparing to lead an online communion service, working to finish up this devotional time and film it, while also researching and preparing to film my reflection for the feast that posts on Sundays. And as I sat in the fire, I realized that I needed to reach out to my colleague Karen and tell her that I couldn't make the deadline yesterday, that I wouldn't have this devotional ready yesterday. I had to swallow my pride. I had to set aside my perfectionistic tendencies, my overachieving tendencies, my individualistic attitude, and admit weakness, and admit that I was having a really hard time, that I was overwhelmed. And yet, as uncomfortable as this was for me, and as unfun as it is to feel weak, I know that God is working in my heart during this time, because it's in the fire, it's in the furnace, it's in the pressure cooker, in the times of testing and challenge, that God refines us, that God uses God's refining grace to transform our hearts, to grow in deeper relationship with God, to make our hearts look more like God's. And we see this concept of God's refinement of ourselves and the imagery of fire throughout Scripture. Here are some examples. In Psalm 66, the psalmist writes, "For you, O God, have tested us. You have tried us as silver is tried. You brought us into the net. You laid burdens on our backs. You let people ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, yet you have brought us out to a spacious place." In Isaiah chapter 48, verse 10, God declares, "See, I have refined you, but not like silver. I have tested you in the furnace of adversity." In the first chapter of the first letter of Peter, Peter writes, "In this you rejoice, even if now for a little while you have had to suffer various trials, so that the genuineness of your faith, being more precious than gold, that though perishable, is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. See, we have the choice right now of how we use this time of challenge, and this time of any challenge, really. We have the choice of how we react to being in the fire. Will we embrace the refinement and lean into God's refining grace? Will we choose to open our hearts more fully to God and grow deeper in relationship with God and our knowledge of God? Or will we hunker down and bulldog our way through the fire, turning inward, not seeking help, not acknowledging our dependence and our need for God? It's my hope and prayer that as we find ourselves in the fire, whether right now or in the future, that we will choose to seek to experience God in new ways and choose to lean into and embrace God's refining grace, so that way we may grow with God and in God and live more fully into the abundant life that Christ freely offers every single one of us. Until next week, stay safe and stay well. And remember that though our building may be closed, your church is here for you. Take care.